Prescriptive Path, Performance Path, Canadian step codes. We're going to go through them all. I'm going to show you what I did. I'm going to show you how much money I saved you. But this will be a YouTube video because I'm not finishing it in 2 minutes, okay? So here we go. First off, there's 3 different ways to meet the energy code. Well, there's 2. You have Prescriptive Path, and prescriptive is you use exactly 3 eggs, you use 2 cups of flour, and you bake it at 350 for 30 minutes. But I'm going to tell you right now that if you make those prairie chicken eggs or brown eggs or quail eggs, sorry, you have to go to Performance Path. You cannot change one thing up here. Nothing. You can't change anything. All they say is in construction, you must have an R24 insulation or whatever the number is in the wall. And you do that, you meet this window rating right here, and you make your furnace at least that, you make the code. But under this Performance Path method, which is what I'm providing to you, it says, I don't care how you run the race, bike, sprint, jog with weights, just finish in under 25 minutes. It doesn't care how you get there. If you all bake, you know that you don't need to follow this exact recipe. In fact, you probably make a better product by coming down here and adding your own. Heaven forbid if we're fixing steak and it only told you could use salt. Well, I don't like salt. I like pepper and other things on my steak. Well, then I can't do that. Then I'm down here in this. So this usually costs you thousands of dollars to get done. I just made 700 of these, and you'll see. We're going to go over those. So if you don't do that Prescriptive Path, you have to do the Performance Path, and then you don't have to have the exact ingredients. So now you can put everything that you want to in a blender, spit it out, and whatever comes out, I'll just tell you how to do it, okay? Because I'm $299, you're getting it. So builders now use computer energy modeling software. This has to be done by a third party. The builder can't go do it himself, herself. They can't do it themselves because it's got to be on a piece of paper. Now, I'm your third party, and I just gave you a piece of paper. Go print it off and hand it to the building inspector. So you can have slightly worse windows, but make up for it with thicker attic insulation or a super energy heat pump. This often ends up cheaper overall, and even though it takes more planning up front, many experts say that this path usually saves money while achieving or beating the same energy performance. Well, I know that for a fact because I'm going to show you how to do it. So not every time you mess with X and Y, Z ends up being different, but we just have to figure out how to get there. The step codes in Canada. You guys are a country all your own, and each one of your provinces are their own country. So they usually want you to start out with step 1, basic energy code. And then step 2, which will happen over time, you got to have a noticeably better, so lower energy bills, better comfort. That's what it says right here on the website. And then step number 4 and 5, they want you to be here in 2030 and 2032. Well, I can take you to this right now. And that's what I gave you, and that's what we're going to go over. So that's that one. Then we're going to talk about the United States here quite a bit because it's faster. But this is the 2015 Energy Code. That's what this is. This is out of the Energy Code itself. Here's your climate zone over here. 1, 2, 3, 4 except marine. Marine means moist, by the way. 5, 6, 7, and 8. 2021 is harder than this one by quite a bit. And 2024, you cannot use fossil fuels to heat your house or your building. That's how I understand it. Anyway, okay, so we're just gonna be down here, climate zone 2. I've got to go to this. This is 2015. Do you know that over half the states in the United States are at 2012? Because in 2012, climate zones 3 and 4 are at just an R value of 13. That's it. So from 2012, actually there's 6 states but technically no energy code, and I think there's 9 states at 2009. So there's only 6 states at 2021 energy code, and New York will be the first one to go to 2024. Okay, so here you go. You got R value 13. This is cavity insulation. This is what they want you to do in the cavity. So this is prescriptive path. This is the government telling you what to do. And that doesn't usually go over very well. Okay, you stick an R13 in the wall, stick an R13 in the wall. Here you have to have an R20 in the cavity, but how do you get an R20 into a 2x4 wall? Well, you don't, unless it's closed cell foam. Or you can come over here and you do an R13, which is a 2x4 wall, plus R5 on the exterior. So this is what they're telling you to do. Okay. Now, two by four. I see. Okay, I got myself prepared. So this is actually what you're getting. 700 of these. And then these are all PDF. They got a watermark behind them. You just print them off. The first thing you look for, you go up here, you go 2x4 wall assembly. That's what I'm building. A 2x4. Here's an R13 fiberglass bat. But if you go down at the bottom, you have choices for mineral wool, dense pack cellulose, dense pack fiberglass, hybrid, flash and bat. I'm going to do a video on this. Open cell foam, closed cell foam, wood fiber, rock wool, sheep's wool, and hemp at the end. That's every 2x4, 2x6, 2x8, metal stud, and the 2 worm studs and 3 T-studs. They're all done the same way. And then to tell you where all this went. Okay, under 2x6, you get all these. Then it breaks it out to 2x6 plus R5 continuous insulation. That's anybody's brand. Doesn't make a difference if it's rigid or semi-rigid. So like rock wool is semi-rigid and board is board. Here's R6 zip right here. That's a whole section on R6 zip, whole section on R9. Here's R10, R12 Huber zip, R15, and R20. I literally have done all of this work. Here's R12 zip. Open it up. See, it looks the same. So it's R12 zip right there. Plus I did it, and now I changed out every single insulation type across the bottom. That's how I got to 700. So I'm not going to, every form is exactly the same. This is how they've been made since the beginning of time. Okay, I got to go back to my form. Okay, here. Now, you got prescriptive path and you got performance path. Here, I just put it right here. Try to get out of the sunlight here. Wall frame U factor, right there. So you either had to do an R13 in the wall, or you had to have a U factor of 0.084. Well, a U factor is just 1 divided by the R factor. So if the average R value in the wall is 12.82, a U factor, you just take 1 divided by the R. Take 1 divided by 12.82, and you come up with 0.078. That's how they do it. Okay, so I know that this is confusing, but when you're dealing, this is the way the world views everything in U factors, not R factors. And then we have metric U values, and we have RSI values for Europe. I have listed them all. Okay, so climate zones 1, 2, and 3 and 4, depending upon what your energy code is today, says that you have to have a frame U wall factor 0.084. All right, let's go over here. And I got a little carried away here because I was looking at this. Okay, here's an R13 bat of insulation in a 2x4 wall. That's the R value for 2x4. That's the R value for your 13. Here's your top plates. Plates, cavity, framing, studs. Area of studs, 14%. Cavity, plates, right there. And by the way, I'm going to tell you this right now. If you did only one top plate and you're trying to do value engineering, there's hardly any difference down here. And I'll do a whole section just on value engineering. And I'm going to tell you why not to do it and why not to spend anybody's money trying to pull it off. You get nowhere. You didn't change this by 1%. So, okay. Your goal is to be, it's 0.084. You had to be less than 0.084. All right. your overall R value is 12.82 in this whole assembly, and your U factor then is 0.078. So a standard 2x4 wall with an R13 bat will beat the energy code that's currently in place, climate zones 1, 2, 3, 4, unless you're at the 2000. It gets more complicated. Did they adopt this section when they took the energy code? What did they adopt? Every state's different. The energy codes are completely political. I'm just going to throw this right on out there. Every one of them is political. Skip that. I'll just get myself in trouble. Anyway, okay, so you take nobody follows me for code compliance. Okay, now what I want to know is I want to put an R5. This is you in your mind. I want to put an R5 on the outside, but I don't know, or I want to put an R5, or I don't want to use fiberglass. I want to go over here and use rock wool. Okay, so watch that number right there. We're 0.078, right? 0.0721. And you just all I did was change that R value right there from 13 to 15, but you only went to that. And your average R value went to 13.8, and you were at 12.82. So you got to decide in your mind, was that enough? Okay, here's down here at the bottom total thermal bridging. This is the thing you got to go for, and I don't care if you do it with an R5. So you got 18. Here's metric U values, RSI values over here for you people. Okay, every one of these are done 16 inches on center all the way across. Okay, dense packed cellulose, you want to put that in? If R value is only 13, you didn't make it. I mean, you made it because you're 0.078, but you want to do better. Here's blown in fiberglass, 13.72, it's 14, R value 14.7. Here's flash and bat. Now, I don't know of anybody, I wrote it right here, 1 inch of closed cell foam, 6.8 in the wall. I think if we change this to a 2 inches, which is more than likely what you're going to do, change that to, oh, I see it didn't like. So much for doing this one-handed. Would be faster for me to type the number in, huh? Okay, 13.6. This 2.5 inches right here, that actually is that. So you got 0.056. Average R value 17.6. Well, that's really cool. But I think before you spent your money on the flash and bat, and this is where my opinions are going to come into play. I know why you're doing the flash and bat is because you got all your air sealing in order to get air changes per hour down. You're 100% in agreement, correct? That's what you should do. But you got this number down here yet. You still got 18.1%. You can't get rid of 18.1% thermal bridging. I've seen houses as high as 28%, but you can't get there unless you at least get a 5 on the outside, unless you go closed cell foam. Closed cell foam. Yeah, this one is right here is 5. I've been playing with these too much. This one's 0. 0.048. You just about beat the climate zones 5, 6, and 7 on a 2x4 wall with closed cell foam. How do you like that? Okay, none of the other ones make it either. So if you're trying to do better, you just got to do better. And the first thing you got to do is you got to get that R5 on the outside. So I'm just going to go back to this one. You come down in here, you take, I don't care what you put in the wall for insulation. You come to this one right here, continuous, this is rigid or semi-rigid insulation. If you come to this one and you put a 5 in here, an R5, look at this, you picked up 18.29%, R value of 18.29. You're up by 5, right? But this one here, I just got to change to 0. Now you have 0 thermal bridging. 0. And I don't recommend 5. I recommend 10 because my goal is to get rid of the traditional furnace and air conditioning unit and put in an upgraded one. Kind of like that right there. That does my whole entire house. That's a mini split. Okay. So 5 got you to that. So 0.054, and you only had to be 0.084 is what you had to be. In climate zones 6 and 7, this is 2015. They got 0.045, 0.060. So 0.060 is climate zone 5. 0.060, and you beat that by just putting an R5 on the outside using the R13 bat. So a 2x4 wall with an R5 on the outside. This is what building codes don't tell you. This is why you do Performance Path. This is why you buy this stuff from me and hire me. Is you actually beat the energy code in all of Michigan, by the way, with just sticking foam on the outside and an R5, because 0.054 is better than 0.060. So that's how simple that it was to beat the energy code. And that's still doing studs at 16 inches on center. So I hope we're getting somewhere. This isn't complicated once you know what to look for. You just go up here. What kind of insulation is it? What is it here? Because I give you this form. I don't give it, but it's this form times all those different kinds of insulations along the bottom. That's what you're buying. And then I'm going to show you one more here. This one, no, these are 2x6 walls. I'm going to show you what my house is. Okay, I had a target. I wanted continuous rigid insulation on the outside, right here. Whoops, I got to go right down here to flash bat. Flash bat. So I built T-Seps walls. Thermostuds Ultimate Panel System. So my continuous rigid insulation layer, I have 10.2 on the outside plus my sheathing. Here's my siding, here's my OSB. I actually used 1/2-inch plywood, and I have 5/8 inch OSB, and only one wall I have one wall of Huber zip. But I have this on the outside right here. Then I have 2.5 inches of closed cell spray foam in the cavity. So I have an R value of 17 plus 20 right away through the cavity. And then rather than doing anything else, I use dead airspace for insulation. I did. I have 3 inches of dead airspace. You get an R value of 1. But look at this. I got my U value down to 0.036. Code in the worst energy code in all of North America is 0.045. So I'm way below that number. I have my average R value right here is 27, and obviously I have continuous insulation, but this continuous insulation is this one. But I got to reduce what does this mean right here? I'll just tell you right away. I got my air changes per hour down to 0.50, and I built this way, but I got rid of the traditional HVAC system. I went from $150 a month is what my proposed utility payment was going to be to $45 a month. This didn't cost me any extra money because you buy all this stuff direct. You buy the Thermostuds panel system. You buy all that stuff direct. And so it didn't cost me any more money to go pull this off. But I had a target right here. I had a target. This is why you keep following me. I got a target. So yeah, you couldn't cut the furnace size down if you still stayed at an R5. And I know we're going on 20 minutes. So if you only do an R5 on the outside, you didn't change out the traditional HVAC system. My target was the HVAC system. And now I'm going to tell you, the next house I'm going to build, or if you want to build this house right away, let's get going. I'm going to help you out because I want to record this whole thing. This is an R20 right here. That's what I want to do on the outside, no matter where you're at in the country. I don't care what climate zone you're in. It's still all the same math. And then this one right here, whoops. This one right here is, oh, I see. This one here is 4. Okay, I'm going to get down to 0.0216. That's not my best house in America, by the way. I'm in the 0.01 range. for the best houses in America. That's how far we got down because we didn't want any chance of Mother Nature coming through that wall. Average R value is 46 in a wall. No, air changes per hour is 0. Why do you solve for the wall? Mother Nature, wind, sleet, hail, sun, rain, freezing, cold, you name it, it all wants to come through that wall. So you always have to solve for the wall because it's holding up the roof over your head. You have to solve for the wall first. The wall, the rim, everything. And then what I did here is I did the wall to roof detail all as one. It's just a continuous layer all the way around. I'm the first one ever to get that done. I'll pat myself on the back. Okay, 20 minutes. Back to the same thing, and we're going to finish this up. This was actually flash bat. So you're going to put some spray foam insulation in the cavity because you're doing it to, you get the R value 6.8 per inch, plus you seal for, you solve for all your vapor control, you solve for moisture control, you solve for thermal control, you solve for everything if you do a flash and a bat. Actually, you're more than likely you're going to do a flash and then a blown-in blanket of some sort to finish filling up the cavity. And I have lots of these. I'll start posting these now. But this right here, this what I just did right here, this is way above passive house compliance. I don't talk about trying to meet anybody's compliance level anymore. It's just I just want to do better. I want you to do better, but I want to show you before you start spending your money, like what does all this stuff mean? Well, this wall assembly right here is 300% better than code, but you didn't reduce your heating and cooling load. You didn't reduce by 300%. But I'll tell you what, you do this in an R70 and have a 100% thermal break over the roof and a thermal break under the floor and along the foundation, so a thermal break on all 6 sides, you for sure cut it in half. I don't care how many kids you got running in and out of the door. You cut it in half, but I know how to cut it to 90%, and that's what we're looking at here. I have had people call me up, and they want to do an R30 right here, by the way. An R30, 0.0176. 0.01. Everybody, if you're still listening to me here, and I haven't blown you out the water, to have a U value under 0.02, that's amazing. And you can do this. It's just a matter of your fasteners and how do you hold on your sheathing. The T-subs has no problem whatsoever. You can hang whatever you want to out there because it's all glued together. But if you're taking somebody else's rigid insulation or semi-rigid, and how to fastening that insulation takes detail, which we'll go over in time. Okay, that's what I got for you. I hope I didn't blow you out the water. It's 22 and a half minutes. But that's how you read these things. And you get every one of these, every single one. And documents. There are 2x4 wall assemblies, 2x6, 2x8 wall assemblies, uninsulated T-stud, 7 1/4 uninsulated T-stud, R19 T-stud, metal studs. You get all of this plus the 3 zip products and everybody else's continuous insulation, plus, like I already showed you, you get wool, fiberglass, cellulose, fiberglass, open cell, closed cell, flashback, wood fiber, rock wool, sheep's wool, and you get hemp. You get all of those. That's where I got to 700. Okay, you lasted 23 minutes. What's your target?